I'm the voice of Night Industry 2000's microprocessor, KITT for easy reference, KIT if you prefer.
It's all about Knight Rider when I have the huge pleasure of talking to Judith Chapman. Judith played the very important part of Linda Elliot in season 1 episode Inside Out. She did so brilliantly, and in this conversation we're gonna hear her talk a lot about how she did very much of her own stunt work and a lot of other stories from this episode. She's gone on to daytime television and has nearly 1,000 episodes of The Young and the Restless and Days of Our Lives, all in all, under her belt. Impressive career and a very, very nice lady to talk to. So lean back and enjoy this ride.
So enough of that. How are you?
Well, I'm fine, and Mrs. Judith Chapman, welcome to
Ms.
this
Not married.
Knight Rider historian cast and crew interview.
Wow.
I've looked so much forward to this, and welcome to my living room here in Denmark. This is not
where
a
in
professional
Denmark
studio.
are you? Where?
Well, I'm not entirely sure. Okay, I'm in a city called Middelfart, and I'm not joking. I'm not joking. It is called and it's spelled Middelfart. Yeah.
Just as it sounds.
Yeah. You're located. Are you in Los Angeles?
Oh, no, not anymore. I gave up on Los Angeles years ago. I've been commuting to Los Angeles from the desert, the Palm Springs area.
Yeah.
But I don't live in Palm Springs proper. I used to many years ago. But I live out in the Tules, I call them, with the coyotes and the Roadrunner in a town called Desert Hot Springs. It's like 15 minutes from downtown Palm Springs. No big deal. But I'm out here with the coyotes and the Roadrunners, and I go hiking early in the morning, and it's very peaceful. It's away from the madness of LA.
It sounds fantastic.
It is fantastic. It's hot. We're over 100 today, so we're settling into the summer season, and
great.
It is. You get used to it. You adapt. You adapt.
Yeah. Fantastic. So, Inside Out. Did you know that this is actually the very first episode to be filmed after the pilot?
I did not know that, because in looking it up on YouTube, it said it was episode 8 or 9 or 10.
Yeah, exactly. But they switched when the episodes aired and were shown on television. This is the very first episode to be filmed after they shot the pilot. So in that respect, this is a very, very special episode, and also because of that, I'm very delighted to talk to you about it. I think maybe the best way to frame this is starting by talking about where were you in your acting life when you got the role on Knight Rider?
1982. Where was I had moved out. I'd already moved out from New York. After I graduated from college, I moved to New York. I worked on soaps. I did a few odd films and things. And a friend of mine that I was working with on a little independent film I made said, "You've got to get out of New York. It's time for you to go to LA." And I went, "Okay." So I went to LA and had good luck. They didn't quite understand me because I was dressing like Annie Hall before Annie Hall, with my old fur coats and fry boots and jeans to go to auditions. And everybody was California. And I went, very different, very different. But I started working. It only took me 2 or 3 months to start landing a lot of nighttime, primetime things. And I just worked nonstop. I worked nonstop, and I was telling my assistant, Vonda, I said, he's probably going to ask me, he said, "What was the audition like?" And I'll say, "I didn't audition. I went through this wonderful few years in the 80s and prime time. They didn't ask me to audition. They just sent me scripts. They said, okay, she available? Yep. And they would send me the script for the next episodic that I did. So I was doing a lot of episodic. Do I remember what happened right before and what happened right after? No, but I did a couple of magnums. I had a recurring character on Fall Guy with Lee Majors, BJ and the Bear, Hasselhoff, of course, and all kinds of wonderful things. Murder, She Wrote, did 4 of those. And so, yeah, it was quite a surprise when my manager called and said, this guy from Denmark wants to talk to you about, about Knight Rider. And I'm like, Knight, who, when, what? So I was very busy. To answer your question, I was very busy. I'd gotten myself established in New York, but doing prime time. Wasn't doing soaps again. I'd been doing Young and the Restless, and not Young and the Restless, As the World Turns in New York, and then did a Kojak. Remember Kojak a
Yeah,
million years
yeah,
ago?
yeah.
And did this crazy little film with Edward Lockman shooting it, who we became quite connected for several years. But he's been nominated for 4 Oscars. So I'm like, you're gonna get this one, Edward. You're gonna. It was the first. It's called Scalpel. Silly little gothic. Actually, it's quite good gothic film. It was his first 35 millimeter film. So lots of firsts. Lots of firsts. Moving to LA, lots of firsts.
That sounds pretty fantastic. Not having to audition for anything that the work just came on your desk, and you could just yeah
Just show up.
yeah,
Just show up.
that's pretty amazing. What is your do you have an acting background? Have you did you go take acting classes, or how did that work?
Well, no, I learned on the job actually.
All right.
My father, well, rest his soul at Arlington, was a retired Air Force general. I've lived all over the world. Every place was, and I'm the baby. And my eldest sister, when we moved to England in the mid 60s. I was still quite young, but she was the raving beauty and became quite the sensation in modeling in London and doing all this. And then we moved to Spain, and she immediately got involved with the film community there and modeling. And there was a Fundador Brandy in Spain, and she was the model for that, and the Chica Yeye, they called her. But her agent called one day and said, listen, Pati, my Spanish sister, she said, I have a commercial for you, but it's just an extra part. Why don't you let your little sister do it? So I asked my mother if I could skip school the next day, and she said yes. My entire life, Jacob, has hinged on one monosyllabic word. If mother had said no,
Yeah.
I said, okay, what the heck, and been an archaeologist or something else. And I just started working and did spaghetti westerns, and boy, was that fun, shooting the bad guys, riding on top of a train, and all these Spanish Italian co-productions.
Yeah.
And so I just worked, but the school got very upset with me because I was missing school for work. And they called my home and said, well, Mrs. Shepherd, my family name, where's Judith? Where's Judy? Well, she's out making a movie. And they went, no, 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 that's not going to work. Long story. The base commander, my father's boss, the principal of the school, the heavy of production of the Spanish Italian co-production, my sister acting as moderator, and the military saying my father could be thrown out of the military for having me out of school at 15 doing westerns. And they said, okay, you can't miss any more school, which I never did. I always went to, but got back, took my midterm exams, aced them, no problem. But I would come home from school and Patty would say, okay, you're doing this commercial tonight. You got to go into Madrid, because Madrid, they work in the day, they siesta, then they work into the night. And I said, no, Patty, I want to go to the teen club and play with my friends. They said, Judy, if you don't do this job, you will never work in this business again. So that was my education, Jacob.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
after my family did, and I finished high school, I did go to Stevens College, which is one of the top theater departments in the country.
Yeah,
There
okay.
was there.
Yeah. Fantastic story.
That's
Um,
great.
uh, Was there anything in particular to indicate that this was a very new show? Do you remember there were anything in the processes?
The Knight Rider?
Yeah,
Knight
yeah,
Rider?
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yes. Well, David was already a known star. I mean, a wonderful singer and, had a bit of a reputation in town. And so, yeah, it was known. And it was, what can I compare it to? Maybe when Tom Selleck came on the scene, it was like the new hot thing. Everybody wanted to be involved with it.
Yeah.
I got the chance.
Yeah, yeah.
The second show. How great is that?
Yeah, that's fantastic. At
But
this point,
nobody, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
no, sorry.
But, I posted a little something on Facebook the other day. And even now, just going around, because I practice a lot of yoga, I teach a little yoga these days. And people coming out, I love that show. I just watched it every week, and it was this, and that episode you did was so fabulous. So I had no idea that it would get the traction it did. But so all these years later, it's pretty amazing that people still love it. People remember it, and people remember that Inside Out.
Indeed, yeah, yeah. They do, and as I said, this is a very special episode, as it's the first to ever be filmed. At this point, do you remember, have any memories regarding Glenn Larson? He created the show.
Glenn, I adored. And that's why I never had to audition. Not because I adored him. He loved me and he used me all the time. In fact, I was years on, he was living in the desert. I'm in the desert. And I decided I was getting a little burned out on Hollywood and everything. So I decided to teach. Or I offered my services at the community college here. And I needed a reference, and I called Glenn, and I said, Glenn, would you write a little letter to College of the Desert recommending me, if you would, for a teaching position, to teach theater, of course. What else? And he did. He wrote the most gracious letter and saying, you would be lucky to have Judith, and I've worked with her for years. So many fond memories with Glenn Larson. Yes.
Fantastic.
Rest his soul. Rest his soul.
Yeah. How was he like when you were on set?
It's not that he really showed up, because he was probably holding auditions for the next episodes and writing for the next episodes, because I really don't recall him being on set. But he may have showed up. Yes, especially since it was the first episode post-pilot. But he was just a great guy, and as I said, he was very fond of me, because he said, "Can you do this?" And I said, "You bet I can." I said, "That's what I do, no problem. You need me to scream. You need me to do my own stunts." And that's one of the things I was so happy about, because I have done my stunts in quite a few different shows. And the fact that, when watching, I said, "Oh, there's my stunt double. Oh, there's my," but the rest of it was me falling out of that truck, climbing over the car, into the driver's seat, and doing a lot I that stuff. That was really me.
Fantastic. We're gonna get to that when we get close to the end of the show.
Oh, there you go. Oh, I just see the screen behind you.
Yeah. And you can, if you can see it, we're now approaching your screen presence, and we're on location, at this castle type of estate. I don't know if you remember this.
I do remember when I was watching it the other night. I said, because a lot of things get shot out there. It's north of LA. It's called Canyon Ranch. I can't remember, but I said there's white picket fences, and I said, "Oh, I worked out there so many times." So yes, I know the castle.
Okay.
Know the castle.
How was it being on that location, and how did that work? I imagine that you had worked there for a week now. Now we really have you in on screen here with David coming into one of the hotel rooms. Yeah. You're gorgeous, just as you are today. Fantastic.
You may lie to me. I don't mind.
I do not lie. It's a principle.
Thank you. Well, thank you. We take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, if you remember how it worked, you were probably there for more than just one day.
Oh
Did you?
gosh, yes. We were out there, spent the week out there. I like being on location. I never had a problem being in a honey wagon and tight little quarters. I didn't get a big van. That David got that, and but going to the cubicle to get makeup and hair and wardrobe. So and then, but you open the door and I said, God, we're out in the country and north of Los Angeles, and it's beautiful here, and I can breathe and no smog. And so I liked being on location. A lot of actors don't like it. They'd rather be in a studio, and which is nice about soap operas. Everything's indoors. But I love being on location. So
Yeah,
I'm fine.
it must be a huge difference being in a studio all the time as you've been. You're a huge soap star from the Young and the Restless. I think IMDb has you marked over 850 episodes. Is that correct?
So
That's
I wasn't counting, Jacob, but okay.
that is
But
I was just
I have
hugely impressive.
I have done a lot of different soap operas, and some I chose to leave, some I couple I was asked to leave. You know, they run their course, but it was great because as an actor, I've always considered myself a working actor. People say, "Oh, you're a TV star, you're this." I said, "No, no, no. I'm a working actor. Yes, I go back and do soaps. Yes, I then go back to nighttime." But somebody posted on Facebook the other day, they say, Judith, they call you the diva of daytime royalty, daytime diva. She said, you were a primetime diva too, because I did all those shows. I did all the Glenn Larson
Yeah,
shows,
yeah.
and oh God, what was it? I just slipped his name. Belisario, you know, all of
Yeah,
his
yeah,
shows, you
yeah,
know, that
yeah.
was the Magnum phase. And
Exactly. Yeah, yeah,
so I feel very fortunate just to have worked as long as have worked.
yeah. Of course. Do you remember? You remember any of the producers or directors? What type of people from the crew did you have interactions with during a week on Knight Rider?
The thing is, again, especially being on location, it's a little different when you're in a studio, but you get to be friends with these people. They're taking care of you. You know, if you don't have any heat, you go to the guys and say, come on, can you turn up the generator a little bit? I'm freezing over here. The makeup artist, I did. I was shooting a Buck Rogers, and they're out in the freezing cold, and the makeup artist was sitting in her little cubicle shivering. And I went, I said, come on, guys, turn on the heat. This old lady's freezing out there. So I'm kind of a champion or a cheerleader for getting things done. But the guys, the set people, the director, the AD, of course, the director's not nervous, but as you said, this was their first show after the pilot. So they were all on pins and needles.
Yeah, yeah,
So I guess they trusted me to carry on and do all this stuff and do a job that was good for them. So,
yeah.
but everybody's nervous. Everybody's a little in Hollywood. Everybody's a little nervous they might lose their job if it's not a huge success. Well, gee whiz, guys, you didn't have to worry at all. It was a huge success.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it's funny because this episode was filmed even before it came on TV, and no one had ever watched Knight Rider at this point in time. So we have you here. I need to just mention that you're on this gymnastic
Oh, I
type
love
bar.
the balance beam. That was a stunt double. I did not do that somersault, but I did stand up. I was a bit of a ballerina back
Yeah,
in the day.
yeah, yeah.
That's funny.
But it seems as if this was a pretty physical role.
Yes, there I go. There I go.
Yeah.
And again, I like that because I've always been very athletic. I was a dancer all my life. I was a swimmer, was a champion swimmer, tennis player, you name it. And so I like doing my own stunts. And I had a recurring character on Fall Guy for a while, not to take away from this, but I said, let me do this. And I had a gal who worked with me. She did several shows with me. I said, sit down, relax. I can do this. And I remember the stunt coordinator came up and said, you just made yourself some money. by doing your own stunt. And I'm like, yeah, this is. So for me, it was great fun to be able to have the physicality and the voice and screaming and whatever was required.
Yeah. We
That's the
just
fun stuff.
we just saw you fall off the bar and kind of roll on the grass to David.
That was me.
That was you. Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic. You're doing.
I'm so glad I watched this thing.
Yeah, you
There's-
you did fantastic. Even back then.
No, I'm glad I watched the show the other night to remember all this
Yeah,
stuff.
fantastic. Do you remember? Did you see any of the car stunts? We have a scene now where Kit kind of the car kind of jumps from.
Oh, and that
Yeah,
they
yeah.
do the
Yeah,
ramp.
exactly.
No, I wasn't in that. That was a stunt double. But a funny, and I was thinking, I said, I think I dated that guy for a while, his stunt driver, because I worked. Yeah, I mean, it's a small business and things kind of go around. I went, yeah, and he will remain unnamed though. But I said, I think I knew the stunt driver for a
Okay.
kid.
We have a in the picture here we have Jack Gill who was in the stunt crew. I think
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Bob Brawler was stunt coordinator on this episode. Did you have much interaction with these guys? Jack Gill is in the show as well. As has a part in the show.
Yeah, well, all this going on in the back of the truck and the car following, and then being told to pull the car back, and then jumping into the driver's seat and realizing this car's driving itself. Gee, flash to the future, and it's crazy, huh? That's what makes this episode so special, and that's what I posted on Facebook. So I had worked with these guys before on other shows, and so and subsequent shows, other shows after the fact. So it was great fun, and I think they really appreciated the fact that I was so athletic.
Yeah.
For my size. And I said, just let me do it. I can do it. No problem. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. Well, let me show you and you tell me. And they said, yeah, great. Let her do it. So that's another reason being on location, you might get to do a lot of stunt work.
Exactly. Yeah. I would imagine that most actors are actually not very fond of the stunt work.
Well, there is one little guy. His name's Tom Cruise.
Yeah, okay, he will be the
I
exception.
like
I
to
love
do
it. I love
his
it.
own
What a fantastic reference. I'm lying down flat here, you know.
But listen, but there was. It happened last night. The TV was on, and all of a sudden, this show comes on. I went, "What is this?" And it says, "I am Patrick Swayze." And I went, yeah, all right, great, Patrick. Whatever. A documentary about him. I ended up watching the entire thing. I mean, got into it fairly early, and I recommend it to everybody because they were saying, and the people that he'd worked with, his wife included, Lisa, that he was doing all his own stunts before Tom Cruise was doing stunts, and he was jumping out of airplanes for that great break point, and that they went. He had a stunt double for jumping out of the airplane, but his brother was a skydiver, so he went back and shot him doing the stunts, and they used it instead of the stunt double. So anyway, long story.
Yeah.
So people like Patrick Swayze, Tom Cruise, Judith Chapman, they love doing
Yeah, they
their own
love it.
stuff.
Yeah. Fantastic.
I mean, look at but where I had my first riding on top of a train in Spain shooting bad guys. There were
Yeah.
no guardrails. I was just like, okay.
You had fantastic practice.
I was primed. I'd already been primed. I've done this before, no problem. I did it on a little film in Spain.
Do you remember, were there any special preparations before doing this more stunt type of scene?
Going back to the truck scene, they are very conscientious because they don't want a lawsuit. They don't want anybody hurt. They don't want anybody killed. And so they are so meticulous about rehearsing again, rehearsing at a standstill without the car moving, without the truck moving, and say, okay, can you make that jump? Can you land it? Can you do this? So everything, never questioned my own safety or anybody else, because these guys, excuse me, these guys are so professional and such a joy to work with. That's why they're top of the heap in Hollywood, because they did all those fabulous. I guess they still do them. It's a younger generation now, I'm sure, but lots of preparation. Yes.
Would that be the stunt crew and the actors, or how would that be? It would be the whole crew, lighting, sound, and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Everybody's involved. You got to be. You're probably wired for sound.
Yeah,
Got a mic on, and the lighting. I don't know. They probably had lighting inside the truck, so going out back onto the car kit.
yeah, yeah,
Um, I don't remember all of it, but no, they are very well prepared and set it up. So that's why filmmaking takes so darn long. And in soap operas, oh yeah, do 50 pages a day, no problem. And soap operas, we only get 4 or 5 pages out because it's the setups. It's the setups with all the lighting and the sound and all the technical stuff, especially if you're on location.
yeah,
So that's why movies take so much longer than TV or soap operas in particular.
yeah, yeah. Do you remember? Were there any script changes to the schedule while you were shooting? Did you go overtime? Was there post-production work?
I don't remember me having to do any post production because I was perfect the first time, Jacob.
Brilliant. I'm sure. I'm sure. How could I even ask?
I'm so humble, as you can see. I don't remember any post. I've done a lot of shows where I've had to do a lot of post production because gaffes and sound mistakes and things. So, but I don't remember doing anything on that. I mean, and they were just trying to crank it out and make it so perfect. Because the thing that was impressed me watching it the other night was the sound. There was so much sound production to this show, which is a lot of filler, but a lot of those shows in the 80s, Magnums, Fall Guy, all those, they all had not overproduced, but they all had a lot of music for whether it's for filler. So I don't remember Glenn coming up and say, Judith, I've rewritten the scene. Let's do it this way. And if he had, I would say, okay, fine, no big deal. Sure, whatever you want.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Yeah.
And you're right. Music and score is a huge part of Knight Rider.
Huge, huge, huge.
So huge.
In fact, I was shocked. In fact, when I was looking at the credits, I say, now who did this? I probably worked with them too. Can't remember who did it.
It
but
was
yeah.
the score for the first 13 episodes was Stu Phillips, and then he and Glenn Larson developed the theme for Knight Rider. So yeah, fantastic.
Glenn had his hands in everything.
Yeah.
He was just such a hands-on guy. And I remember, I'm trying to remember, because I obviously did have to audition for him when I first started working, and that's when he said, all right. But I was just so amazed that he did. Another one who was very much the hands-on producer, writer, music, whatever it was, casting, was Michael Landon, because I did not Heat of the Night. What was that show called? What was that show called I did with him? The Angel thing. Highway to Heaven. Highway to Heaven. And he was there. I had to be at MGM at 7:00 in the morning. I was living in Thousand Oaks at the time, and to audition for him. And I went in, and you develop a sixth sense. And my back was to him. I was leaving, and I could tell. He said, cast her. She's got the part. So I did have to audition for him. But he was on his way to the set to write, to script, to direct, to do. So these multi-dimensional. Hi, Judah. Look what long hair you have. My goodness. There were, there are those these days. I mean, who does the Western thing? I can't think of his name right now. But it was great in the 80s. to work with these men who were so receptive and so open to a young actress who considered herself a serious thespian. I wasn't just an actor. And they said, "Is your name Judy?" And I say, "No, I'm Judith. I am a serious thespian. Do not call me Judy." Um, anyway, lots of fun.
You have some quite long scenes with David, just the two of you with dialogue, and also a part of it actually more monologue-ish from your part. Have you?
When I'm leaning against, excuse me, when I'm leaning against the wall and I tell him, I said he's blackmailing me and then talking about my father, and I was like, wow, I just keep, because that was another thing I could do. I could learn lines. I could
Yeah.
memorize. I can't do computers, but I can memorize lines.
Yeah, I
And so,
was
yeah.
just about to say that because have worked so much on daytime television. You must be fantastic. Is that has it been like that all the way from the start?
I've always had a good memory, even as a young girl in school. I mean, I could remember in studying for exams. I could retain things,
Yeah.
and so it was very easy on soap operas. And doing, I did so much theater, and so learning, 100-page script, and I've done several one-woman shows. It's just me on stage, so 90 pages of dialogue or monologue, I should say.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's a gift. Thank you, grateful for it, because so many actors struggle, and so many actors. Well, interesting, David, I was listening to him, and he was doing his lines very well, and uh, because he was on Young and the Restless for a while.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
And so he did that crossover thing from nighttime to prime time to daytime, and so he was able to pull that up. A lot of people can't. A lot of people, who they call it stunt casting, to get a primetime star or a movie star on a soap opera, and they just, what do you mean we're doing 100 pages today? What do you mean I've got the director just gave me 20 new pages that I've got to learn for in an hour? I say, yeah, welcome to daytime.
Yeah.
The toughest job in show business, I think.
Yeah.
And so,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah, here's that scene when I'm talking about my father.
Yeah.
One cut, one take, no cutaways, no cutting to David. My scene, David, go away.
Yeah, and you're doing great. This is
Thank you.
this is really top notch. Do you have memories regarding David? I guess I guess you have from being on Knight Rider.
I have one. And I even asked Julie, because I was in LA last week and was with Julie, and I said, I've got this story about David. Do you think I should tell it, or do you think it's okay to tell? And excuse me, I'm so sorry. I'll tell you. So what? It's after Knight Rider, and it's not even about Knight Rider. But David was a heck of a singer and a performer, stage performer. And right before he had already left Young and the Restless by the time when I came on. But shortly after I started, Bill Bell, the creator of Young and the Restless, passed away. And they had a big to-do for him at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and big memorial, and everybody was there, and all the cast, of course, but a lot of past and present, and directors past and present. And so I was there, of course, and I saw David. And I went, David, hey, it's Judith Chapman. How are you? Nice to see you again. What's up? I said, I'm doing your show. I'm doing Young and the Restless. And I said, but David, I got to tell you, because I do a lot of directing, Jacob, and a lot of theater. And I said, because he did a Broadway production of Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Well, I watched his show. I'm not live. I Googled it. But I directed it here in the desert. And I just went, yeah, I just directed a production of Jekyll and Hyde. Mine was better. And he looked at me, because he's way up here and I'm way down here. I said, mine was better. He looked at me. Thank God he had a sense of humor, so we laughed about it. And I went, Anyway. So that's my David Hasselhoff story.
Yeah, that's
But I just think it's wonderful that he took it seriously. In fact, I was talking this Patrick Swayze thing last night. You know, a lot of these not so great films that he did, people were just tongue in cheek. Oh, it's going to be a best worst film ever, like Roadhouse and all this stuff. But David always, or Patrick always took it seriously. David always took it seriously, and that's what I respect. I take it seriously. I remember when I was starting out in LA, and I was doing one of these nighttime primetime things, probably one of Glenn's shows, and I was, I was getting into character, and these old character, just kid, just take the money and run. I said, no, I take this very seriously, and if I ever reach that point that I'm just doing it for a paycheck, I said, I quit. He said, kid. So David took it very serious. He never laughed at the work. He never laughed at when sometimes it could be a little silly, or Baywatch, it could be a little silly. Nothing against Baywatch or anything. But he took the work seriously, and I have a lot of respect for actors who do that.
Yeah.
Myself included, because so many people, and especially young, they just come in. Oh, I haven't learned it yet. I'm not. Shame on you. Do your homework. Do your homework, or get out, or move over for somebody who is willing to do the work. But that's me. That's me.
Do you remember how was a working day on Knight Rider? How early did you start? And did you
John,
did you
very early, very early. You have to go to bed very early, which is fine. Pre-dawn, and talking about that location with the castle and the white picket fences and all out. That's about an hour, easily an hour north of LA. I can't remember. I said Canyon Ranch. I'm not sure that's the name. But so you've got to get up and drive in the dark and with your lights on, and hopefully somebody's out there to guide you to the parking lot and show you, and a little AD assistant will come take you to your room and and then show you where the coffee is and breakfast is and the makeup trailer, and the day starts, because they want you on set, first light, ready to go, let's rehearse. And unfortunately, the tough part is usually the most difficult scenes are usually the ones that are shot first. So it's not linear like a play. It's not linear like a soap opera, ding, ding, ding. And but I loved it. There's nothing for me back in the day. I mean, I haven't done it in a while. Well, actually, I did. I was in the Will Smith film King Richard, and shooting out there. I was playing Nancy Reagan, shooting out there, and it was so fun to get up pre-dawn and drive to the location. I said, wow, I like this. I like being on location. But that's tough. You show up, you get in makeup, and then you sit around and wait for 3 hours for lighting and sound to get themselves coordinated.
But no midnight affairs, with the shooting schedule just being pushed and extended.
No, that happens all the time. But on Knight Rider, no, they were tight. They were tight. They had a lot to prove. So I think you stay on schedule. That's like that one scene, me headshot, close up, doing that long monologue. If you get it right, they said fine. That was why I said, oh, let me do another one. No, we haven't got time. That was great, Judith. We're moving on.
You're getting in Kit. You're getting in Kit right at this moment.
Is that where I jump in the driver's seat?
No, you were on. To begin with, you're in the passenger seat here, and let me just tell you, that was a dream for I think every young boy watching this show to be in your shoes right there, just to sit down in Kit next to David. This is actually very uncharacteristic that Kit is without its roof. The T-tops are off.
Yeah.
During all 90 episodes, it's very, very rare that we see action with Kit with the T-tops off. So.
Well, because he had to climb in the back of the truck. And I tried to climb in the back of the truck, but I fell and hurt myself. And so he got to be the hero. Damsel in distress, and that's David's job, to save the damsel in distress.
Yeah, exactly.
And I got to jump I can't tell you how many women commenting on Facebook and friends just around town said, I remember that scene, and you got to jump in the car. And I just think it's so funny, because what I posted on Facebook, I said, all these years ago, an AI car with the voice of William Daniels. I mean, and look where we are now.
Yeah.
It was so ahead of its time. So
Yeah.
that was very, very. And Edward Mulhare, I loved him. I had such a crush on him. I didn't work with him. He was in the office, but William Daniels, whenever I see Two for the Road or one of his films, I always think back on Knight Rider.
Yeah.
That these wonderful film actors, established actors, are now transitioning into not daytime, into prime time, and doing these wonderful shows.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Do you
which made
remember?
it harder for working actors. But
Yeah.
pardon?
Do you remember different cars? Because on this episode, we know that there were 4 Trans Ams and one you could say jump car that wasn't really a and not really a Trans Am, but just some kind of dune buggy with a shell on it. Do you remember being in different types of cars?
No. I was only in the main one, but
Okay.
Jacob, those cars had their own trailer.
Yeah, of course.
They were the stars. It's
Kid
like,
was also a main
actors.
character.
They were the main. They were the title character. What do
Yeah.
I get? So everybody else back of the line. The cars come first.
Okay,
true.
so you only worked in what we Knight Rider fans call the hero car, the one with a shiny dash. Ah, fantastic.
And with all the steering wheel that moved and went in and out.
Yeah.
And that's why they really didn't do a good close up on me, because they were shooting the panel. But David jumps out onto the hood. I jump over into the seat. And the voiceover, if I remember correctly, it said, yeah, everything's fine. We're talking to the bad guy.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
wonderful. Can't think of his name. And but I wish they'd done a tighter cut to a close up of me going, "Oh my God, this thing's driving itself." So, but that's all right. The car was the star, So
Yeah.
show off the toys.
Yeah, and do you remember how it worked? I guess that for some part at least of what you did, the car was towed by a you could say some kind of vehicle that was towing the car. Do you remember that? Or,
Oh, yeah. Because like when it's at the back of the truck.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've done Knight Rider and a lot of other shows where things are getting towed and cameras are mounted on the outside of the cars for cross shooting. All right, okay, we're gonna cross you, David, to Judith. All right, now we'll sit for a couple of hours. Okay, now we're gonna shoot across Judith to David, and so a lot of this, a lot of pulling. Yeah. But they're usually on a, what do you call it? Like a AAA thing, a flatbed,
Yeah.
that can pull them so nobody has to do anything,
Yeah.
and the director has control over what's happening, or the stunt people.
The scene where you go on Kid's hood and you stand on Kid's hood. Do you remember how that was done? Was that in a studio or
No.
was it, you were simply standing on a
Paper. They said, Judith, how do you feel about getting out? And I said,
Yeah, okay,
"Fine,
you're getting out of the car right now. Is that you?
Yes, of course it's me.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yes, and see, that's all being towed.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah,
That's me. And I'm going to jump across. See, that's a close up, and jump across. So that jump, but that's all me. And then and I said, oh, it's locked. And then they say, do something else. And then I remember doing all that. Yeah. And that's when I slipped and was able to get back in the car, and David took over. Yeah, that's an insert, B-roll. So that was fun. See, I love doing that stuff.
Yeah, well, it's impressive. It's impressive. We don't get actually throughout the show. We don't get to see many women with this type of action being you could say an ally of Michael. We have some ladies that are the bad guys. but you're not here. So David comes out now to rescue you. So
Yep.
Is that a stunt double hanging of, or is that also you?
I want to say that's me. I may be mistaken. It's a little fuzzy, but I watched it the other night and I kept saying, "That's all me." There was
Yeah.
one shot
Yeah.
where I said, "Yeah, there's my stunt double, no problem." But she was a good stunt double. I'd worked with her on several different shows. On Fantasy Island, I'd worked with her, and Magnum PI. She went to Hawaii with me,
Yeah.
and I said, "No, no, no, I want to do it. I want to do it." And so, yes, Glenn knew that I loved to do this stuff, so he let me.
Fantastic,
I
fantastic.
wasn't a liability for him. He knew that.
And when Kit talked, I'm sure it wasn't William Daniels talking. A script girl, a script guy.
Yes, probably. I don't know. I'm speaking from ignorance here, Jacob. But yes, you're probably right. It was William wasn't on set. No,
no, no, he wasn't. He had a
he
huge.
was in post production, not
Yeah.
me.
No, yeah, he had a huge impact on this show, but but it didn't take him very long to do it.
No, it was what a great game. But it was so what interesting casting. Bravo, Glenn, because he has such a distinctive voice.
Yeah.
Recognizable, such a recognizable voice for if anybody's familiar with his work at all. So
Yeah.
very nice, and that sort of droll, dry wit of his. So it was perfect casting.
Yeah. So fantastic. Yeah, and you had a lot of time in the cast. Do you remember for how long were you shooting this end action scene? Would that
This
be?
easily could have been a full day. It may have even been more. That was a complicated setup.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very complicated, and they wanted to get it right, make it look safe again,
Yeah.
but make it, excuse me, look interesting.
Yeah.
I'm originally from South Carolina,
All right.
right up the street from Atlanta. So I have friends in Atlanta, family in Atlanta, but I didn't know anything. I did a Heat of the Night in Atlanta, did a film in Atlanta, the one I did with Edward.
Yeah.
And great place to work, and they're doing so much work there. But nobody told me there was a Knight Rider exhibit there.
There is really of course, fans coming, and there's also kit replicas, and usually 3-4 people from cast and crew of the show. So that is very enjoyable. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So a lot going on. And a lot going on here as well. We're getting close to the end. I must say I'm still very impressed that you've done so much of the stunt work yourself. Yeah, that.
Too. That's why I wanted to watch it, because I was saying I have a good memory, but that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so in watching it, I went, doggone it, I did all that. I did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that for me is fun.
Yeah.
I had practice in Spain.
Yeah. Of course, doing the westerns. Yeah.
And that train was moving.
Yeah.
Slowly, but moving.
Yeah.
They wouldn't allow that today.
No. Today they try to take very good care of the actors.
There's another one.
We you just briefly touched on Edward Mulhare. I think you have one of the very last scenes. Is with Edward Mulhare. Did you talk to him at all during the show? No.
Just briefly, he was a very busy man, and I was very young and trying to be very respectful. But I've been a fan of his because he did that wonderful series, which I think was after The Ghost of Mrs. Muir.
Yeah.
And that wonderful. So it was just like, and I knew some of his other work, so it was like, hello, Mr. Mulhare. You have show respect for your elders.
Yeah.
Which I agree. I would love to have worked with him.
Do you remember the kit car driving for itself by its own? Having seen any of that, because the scene we just watched. You're in the scene, but things could have gone from second unit to first unit. And we have a kit car driving itself across the lawn. I don't know if you have any memories regarding how they did that. If you were there, no, that's perfectly fine.
That was probably B-roll.
Yeah,
It's probably B-roll.
yeah.
Yeah.
So fantastic. Yeah. We're getting close to wrapping up on
Thank
the
you.
episode here. I would like to hear your thoughts on the show. We've talked a bit about it, but your thoughts on a show that still after nearly 45 years still resonates with fans. We have a lot of fans building their own kit replicas. We have conventions and a very you could say happy audience with Knight Rider.
Well, in a word, I think it's amazing. Thank God David Hasselhoff had the good sense to sign up, and William Daniels had the good sense to sign up, and Glenn Larson had a good sense to create such a thing. And but the fact for this particular episode, and I'm repeating myself now, that it's about AI, artificial intelligence, and this highly intelligent car, I had never seen. Are you familiar with Waymo, the driverless cars?
Yeah.
Uber. I was in LA this past week, and I saw three of them. All of a sudden, I see this car, and it's got these on the top and the back. I said, "Oh my God, it's a Waymo!" So I'm like looking, and some passenger was in the front seat, and I saw three Waymos when I was in LA, and I went, "Wow, it really is." So that's what makes this episode even more fantastic, more futuristic, more ahead of its time. Yay, Glenn! Always loved you, and should make the people who you said are making their own models. Of course, they've got to be AI models. They've got to be self-driving. So some young whiz kids out there creating the thing and doing all the mechanical stuff that they were doing 40 years ago.
Exactly.
Then Tesla, what's his name? Elon started doing, and a small community. And since I posted that the other day, it's just a few days ago, so many people have commented online or say, "Oh, Judith, oh yeah." And not just men who would be jealous of me in that car, but women, because I was sitting next to David Hasselhoff, and they went, "Oh God, we love him so much," and I've got these pictures of him on my wall, and so it's and people, because not going back to, but I did 2 magnums. I was invited to do 2 magnums, and people, it's that same complete awe of these wonderful superstars, Hasselhoff, Selig, Lee Majors, whoever, Bill Bixby, whomever, and that these shows have such life after all these years.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, it is amazing. Yeah. So and by participating in this, you are keeping it alive, and I'm very thankful for that.
Well, I hope I tend to talk a lot and talk very fast, so I hope you are pleased with my contribution today.
I can tell you that you've done brilliantly.
Oh, I'm so honored. I was obviously so much younger and working and very happy and somewhat getting more and more work, but you don't think about it. You don't think about it down the road. You don't think about it a half a century later, what these shows still mean to people, the impact and look where you are, from a 10-year-old little boy. Good for you.
Exactly. Yeah. I think my girlfriend would probably say that in some ways I'm still a 10-year-old boy.
And I'm still a little girl riding on top of a train in Spain, shooting the bad guys, or jumping on the hood of Kit.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic, Judith. It has been a huge pleasure talking to you tonight. Yeah, it's evening here in Denmark. So I want to thank you, from the bottom of my heart for taking time to talk to me. Yeah, it's a huge honor, and you know, doing this is a highlight of my life. So
Oh,
yeah, so
I salute you for what your dream and manifesting and making it happen and making a lot of people very happy. You made me happy today. Thank you. I thank you for your patience. Thank you, Mr. Jacob
yeah.
Peterson. Continued success. Enjoy your car. Be careful driving it. And talk to you
Thanks
soon.
so much. Have a brilliant day, ladies.
Have a brilliant
Bye.
day and
Thank
a brilliant summer.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks. Bye bye.
Bye bye.